Hi, this is Rob Cairns, CEO and Chief Creator of Amazing Ideas at StunningDigitalMarketing.com. This week, I had the pleasure of chatting with my good friend Matt Schreb about Kodi Bateman's book, The Power of Human Connection, how relationship marketing is transforming the way people succeed. This book will change your lives, and I suggest everybody go out and get it. If you're not convinced now, listen to the little chat that Matt and I have, and you'll love it even more. Matt and I first met at a BDC PayPal event in October in Toronto. Matt sat down beside me, we struck up a conversation, and that was the start of building our relationship. And we actually have a really good one. We chat, we text, we stay in touch, and that's really important. And that's how you start a relationship. So without further ado, let me bring you the interview that Matt and I did together. I'm really excited to share this one with you. It's, as I said, a great book, and actually it's my favorite book of 2018. Here's the interview with Matt Schreb and about Kodi's book, The Power of the Human Connection. Okay, everybody, I'm here with my friend Matt, and what I want to talk about today is this amazing book that Matt gifted me called The Power of the Human Connection by Kodi Bateman. And I have to say, it's probably one of the best books I've ever read. I don't say that lightly. Most of you know I'm a book a week reader guy, so I've always got a book on the go. This one I'm actually on my second read of right now, so that tells you something. And it's just inspiring, and it talks about why we need to get back to relationship marketing instead of all this email marketing and all this other stuff we do. And I just want to say thanks to Matt for joining me. And Matt, why do you tell us a little bit about what you do, first of all?
Well, first of all, thank you so much, Robert. I'm thrilled. You know, I had a contest I was running, and you were gifted this book, and I was thrilled when you won it, which is awesome. You're actually the first winner of the book, which was fantastic. So you had lots of time to do your second read already. But you know, my background has been more so in the entrepreneur side, and being an entrepreneur for the last 13, 14 years, a lot of things have shifted in the, I'll say in the social media space. I'm a business coach at the core, and I build connections for people. And you know, if I'm networking with someone, I'm also a member of Business Networking International, BNI. And for me, it's all about the network being my net worth. And so you have to build relationships. It's not about building a business card Rolodex. It's building relationships that are deeper than just the card. You can go to a networking event and glean lots of cards. We were sitting next to each other at an event a couple months back, and you know, yeah, we connected, we chatted, but it wasn't about, oh, thanks for your card, Robert. We gotta do this right away, and you know, sell this and buy this. It's about fostering a relationship, getting to know the person, and so that's really what the last 14 years has culminated for me with regards to this. And so, human connection is huge, huge.
It sure is, and I'll show you something. I have something in front of me, and Matt doesn't carry a business card. What Matt actually said to me was, "Can I have your mailing address?" And this is the card that Matt sent me. Right. And I still have it. It sits on my desk. And Matt sent me a couple others. He sent me a picture of Amber Mack and I from that event, which I really appreciate. It's up on my wall and things like that. And just the fact that you take the time to connect with people. And, you know, I think most people don't get the value of networking and don't get the value of why we network and how we network. And they think, oh, if I do all this email marketing, I'll get that sale. Well, you know, I was talking to a mentor of mine at WordCamp, a guy by the name of Paul Toby, and Paul is an email marketing master. He's really good at it. And as he says, it's getting harder and harder to get stuff into somebody's inbox by the day. Mm-hmm. And it's far better off, I think, in fostering a relationship and getting there. One of the things Kodi talks about is multiple touch points in this book. Yeah. And do you want to share your views on that and sort of talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, a lot of things in life are an 80-20 rule. Mm-hmm. And the way it's shifting is, and where we really focus on is a 20% marketing, 80% relationship.
Yep.
And so that marketing, we still have to market. And I don't say don't do email marketing, but just add some extra tangible touches, because you want to be celebrating people. You want to be celebrating whether it's their birthday. So use a car dealership, for instance. If they were to do 5 touches with a client, 4 of those touches should be more of just a connection, a relationship, and one of those, so 20%, one fifth, would be the sale, whether it's inviting them to an event or something like that. So really, those 4 touches could be, thanks for being my customer,
Yep.
Celebrating them for a certain time of the year, maybe it's their birthday, or celebrating the holidays or a New Year event, but just reaching out to them with no hidden agenda to get a sale. It's all about just making sure that you're staying on top of mind. And that's whether it's in real estate, whether it's a car, whether it's a mortgage agent, whether it's a massage therapist. It's so important to build that relationship. And you can do that so easily by focusing on that five touch and making 4 of those be relationship based.
That is so true. I mean, I know one of the things I've always done is if I go to a conference and I pick up a business card, I'll send an email and say, thank you. And I really enjoyed the conversation about XYZ that we had. And that's not a sale. That's not a sale. It's about saying to somebody, I appreciate your time. Time's valuable. We all know that. And sort of saying, and then let it go from there. And I mean, I think Kodi talks, and correct me if I'm wrong, something that takes about 14 touches. Is that kind of?
There's a lot of studies that took place. It's anywhere from 10 to 14 touches to really solidify a sale.
Yeah.
And even then, as long as you've gone down the road of solidifying it through relationships, otherwise it could be longer. And you can see that in real estate. You can see that in really any business. It takes time to build that relationship. It takes time to foster that sale.
Yeah. The other thing Kodi talks about that I really like is he talks about the 3 types of leads. And one is the cold lead, one is a cool lead, and one is, I believe it's a warm lead. Correct, is the last one. Yeah. And we talk about that a lot with, online. We talk about those same terms, believe it or not, in traffic. What type of traffic do you have a website when you're running an ad? Is it a cool lead? Is it a warm lead? And it makes you think about what type of customer that you have and how that customer sort of pertains. And he says, really what you want to do is take somebody who's a cold lead and move them up to a cool lead, and a cool lead up to a warm lead, because we all know it's easier to deal with warm leads than it is to deal with the other 2, right?
Right. And once you get them up to the warm or hot stage, you want to keep them there as opposed to letting it fall down again. There was an example, a friend of mine, Gail, she's a real estate agent in Kalamazoo, Michigan. She's also written up in the book. And she's gone from an environment where she was doing more cold calling and new business collection to almost being 100% referral. Yeah. And she's on generation upon generation upon generation, referrals, where just celebrating one person has turned into dealing with their entire family, and starting at a young age and working all the way through to their teenage ages. It's phenomenal from that perspective. It is more cost effective to deal with a warm lead than it is a cold. You're going to put a lot more effort into a cold lead. So, people that know, like, and trust you are going to be a lot more cost effective for you in the long run.
No kidding. My mom, a shout out to my mom, is a real estate agent. She's in her 70s. She's been in the business for over 40 years. And I would bet you in my mom's case, 90% of her business is referral based. So it's all relationships. And the real estate business is the one business that really is relationship based more than most other businesses. I mean, some are. I mean, I know when I go into a store that, I know people are working on commission, and if I've got a sales guy I like, I'll go back to the same. But even that's changing because of things like Amazon, and it's turning into a price based, not a referral based. And real estate just seems, and I think part of it in that business is the high ticket value of the item. You really need to have somebody you can trust. You're dealing with $1 million homes. You're not dealing with $100 books, right?
But even in the luxury car market, and granted, you're dealing with somebody's largest investment when you're dealing with homes, but even in the luxury car market, or even in the car market, there's lots of opportunity there. The number of times, I mean, you don't drive, right, Robert?
No, I don't.
right? But I've got friends that drive and they've never heard from the dealership again after they drive off the lot.
I've heard that too.
They know how much they earn because they had to file for their financing. They
Yeah.
know when their birthday is. They know all this information. But once that sale's done, it's over. And it doesn't matter. I mean, some companies are better at this than others, but it's amazing. You know, you can go in and say, my pockets are open. I'd like to buy a car. And then you don't hear from them. I've got an example where I just had a lease end and I wanted to buy a new car. I never heard from the person, even though I said I'm ready to buy.
Yeah.
Right?
And one of the things people even do, like in my business, being a marketer, and, you know, that's kind of what I do, is they get people on what I call maintenance contracts or care contracts or whatever verbiage you want to use. And then they run these maintenance contracts that say secure the website, but the clients never hear from them. So at the end of the year, what happens is the client says, I spent $1,000, but I really didn't get anything. Well, you did, but they don't see the perceived value because there's no touches, you know?
Yeah.
And that's a problem. Like you gotta stay in contact, and it doesn't take much. You can, there's a multitude of.
You mentioned that there's an internet marketer, and what she had found is she's got these membership programs, and on average, people were sticking probably in the 60 to 90-day range.
Yep.
Right? Whether she was providing value, some stayed longer because she's providing more value for what they were looking for. But what she found is when they were coming into her funnel on her website, she immediately reached out with a tangible touch to them, whether it was brownies or a card, whatever the case may be. What she found by then staying in touch with them, rather than having an average 60 to 90 day, she's actually looking at 6 to 8 months that they're staying on her membership program.
Yeah.
And so to have that, you know, from a cost into the machine of a card with stamps on it, to being able to triple or double your retention rate, you can't quantify. Well, you can't quantify it, but it's quite immense.
Yeah, I do a couple things. I have a newsletter that goes out on a weekly basis. I'm in the middle of revamping it, and you say why? Well, it's just staying in contact. Two, I tend to email my care clients on a regular basis, like every 6 weeks, and just say, hi, how are you? Is there anything I can do for you? Happy birthday. By the way, I read something about you in the media. Just thought I'd mention it looked really good. Not even a hard sale. Just a hi, how are you? That alone converts back to, I probably get 95% renewals on my care packages just because of the touches.
Absolutely.
And he's not the only one, by the way. Kodi's not the only one that talks about multiple touches. There's a marketer, and you might know him, called Neil Patel, if you've heard of Neil. And Neil actually talks about the rule of sevens. So Neil actually believes you have to do at least 7 touches, if not more, too. So he's in that same mindset. We all know that you have to go after touch people in multiple ways. And some of it could even be not even this. It could be you see somebody with a problem on social media, so help them. Like, help them. Give them some help. One of the things I think, you know, I do is I do a daily minute Facebook Live that I shoot off, and it's just a help tip.
Yeah.
And people love that kind of stuff, because then they say, really, can I get some more help? And then you start having conversations, and they go from there, kind of.
Yeah, absolutely.
Video's a great way to help too in the automated world. So.
Well, you never know where it ends up either. I mean, I've been to events where I've done some Facebook Lives. I go to events and they're like, oh, aren't you the guy that does this, this, and this?
Happens to me all the time.
It's phenomenal because you don't know where it ends up. You've created video content that's for generations to come. It's not going anywhere.
No, it's so true. The other thing Kodi really talks about is the value of a CRM, doesn't he? And you know, I have to tell you, my CRM's been a bit of a mess. And because of this book, I've actually reworked my entire CRM in the last week. I sat down and I recategorized everything. And I said, there's stuff missing out of here. I need to fix this before January 1. And I've probably put, I don't know, 35 hours on the road and in hotel rooms and stuff working on my CRM. And, you know, he talks about the value of that. Do you want to speak about that a little?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, there's different levels of CRMs out there. You can take it right down to the level of capturing what emails you've sent to clients. You can capture, really, it's a wide array of what the phone conversation was. You can record phone conversations, but it doesn't have to be that complex. Ultimately, you know, depending on how you're going to be touching your client, just even having a database, you know, the number of times I talk to clients saying, I got their name on LinkedIn, but I don't have any contact details. I can't phone them or anything.
Hmm.
That's good because you can reach out to them and DM them, but it's not necessarily going to give you what you need. But if you can get something that possibly has their anniversary date,
Yeah.
it could be marital anniversary, but possibly their anniversary date of when they started working with you, so you can celebrate that.
Yeah.
Or having their birthday or having their family birthdays. It's magical from that perspective. You know, I have a friend who's in the toner business, which is not a really sexy business.
It's a
Right?
tough business.
It's a tough business. Margins aren't that great.
Mm-mm.
They sell the printer, they put the database together, and in the database, they put the date that the person that acquired the printer.
Oh, cool.
They send a card out, a birthday card to the printer, not to the owner. To the printer.
I like that idea.
Right? They wish them a happy birthday, saying, hey, take the day off. Oops, sorry, we forgot you have to work today. So it's kind of cutesy. It's kind of fun. But then they also reach out to the owner and let the owner know, hey, it's been a year. You might want to increase your service or have a service call to clean your printer.
Mm-hmm.
So that has increased to their margins because they're now doing higher margin or the cleaning of this printer, the drums and things like that. Well, after they do the printer servicing, they send a card from the printer to the owner thanking them for a spa day. Now, this all
that's funny.
CRM because you've got to know the date that the printer was sold to them. Yeah. You've got to know what kind of a printer it is, but you also want to have the owner's name. Yeah. And so it brings it together. Now, this is all cute and fine, but that doesn't mean, and I just say to people, apply that to your business. What could you do? Mm-hmm. Right? If you're a massage therapist, if you're a car salesperson, if you're a real estate agent, do a house anniversary card. Yeah. Right. It doesn't have to be their marital anniversary or do both. But again, you're creating those touch points. But the cuter it is, the more fun and the more memorable you make it for you.
And you know, the industry that does that very well is the vet industry. We did a vet switch a couple months ago, probably 4 months ago. We had issues with one of our dogs walking, and our regular vet wouldn't take him. They just didn't have the space, even though it was an emergency. So we said, forget this, we'll switch vets. And the vet we switched to actually sent us a card from our dog saying, thank you for taking care of me, with a picture of him that they took at the vet on the card.
Yep.
And I remember seeing this, and my wife looks at me and says, you want to see this? And I said, oh, why, Joe? And she said, you're a marketer, you're going to get this. And I said, oh, I do. I said, I liked them when we walked in, but the fact that they did a follow-up with a card and a picture of our dog on the card, yep. It goes a mile. And the card is actually hanging over my wife's computer on her bulletin board, so that tells you. And they make it fun, and they do that, and that's really a cool idea. And it's just, you know, it resonates with you because there's a picture of your dog in front of you, kind of thing. Right? So.
Yeah, it's awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah, it is, and they're local, which is even better. So they're in this area. So,
yeah.
You know, and the other thing Kodi talks about that I really like, and you've seen my email tag, so you know my email tag says life is 90% mindset and 10% execution. And Kodi talks about the value of mindset being an entrepreneur, and he talks about multiple ways. He says you have a financial blueprint, and he sort of talks about, and what he kind of alludes to is, entrepreneurs kind of want more, don't they? The good ones all the time. And he talks about this in multiple ways through his book. And, you know, I think sometimes people mistake wanting more for being conceited or being boisterous. I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think a good entrepreneur wants to build his business and wants more. I know I'm always looking for more in a million ways. You're looking for more, right? Or we wouldn't be doing what we do. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, you know, ultimately, you know, we want to do more because we can then give more as well. It's not necessarily just getting it to stick to your ribs. Obviously, you know, you want to make sure that your needs are satisfied. But when you have more, people that have a tendency to feel that it's conceited or it's an issue are coming from a place of lack. And so there's one of the mindsets. And so when you come from a place of abundance, it's what do you do with your money? And a mentor of mine once said, you know, money is an amplifier of your life.
I agree.
Think about it. If you are a very mean person, money's going to amplify that. You'll be meaner. But if you're a very loving and caring person, you'll find ways to spend it to amplify love and generosity. And so really, it's important. I mean, money is important, from the perspective of you want to have more, you want to be able to give more and do more things in life. And the more you can give back, the better it's going to be. I mean, it goes out, and one of the captions from one of my friends is, put it out in slices, it comes back in loaves. And when
Yeah.
you're giving it out, it comes back.
And the other fun thing is when you give back, it's giving back in the expertise of what you do. So I'll give an example of that. One of the events that is dear to my heart, and I think I've talked to you about, is the Ontario Police Memorial, which is the first Sunday in May every year. I have been involved in the memorial and the social media team and the live stream team for that for next year will be the 11th year. And one of my good friends is a gentleman, my name is Scott Mills. Scott's the social media officer for Toronto Police. So I got involved via Scott many years ago. And, a lot of people will come to me and say, aren't you involved with Scott in the memorial, who don't know me? And it's unreal. And they'll say, why have you been involved so long? Because we've been giving back to the community. And that's really important, to take one of your talents and give back a little bit. And I think that's really important. And I think you got to kind of pick your spots too, because there are organizations that will sit there and ask for stuff, even though they can afford it. I've been through that too. We've all been through that. Mm-hmm. And then there's the ones who really need the help. And I think you need to kind of look at it and say, where does it fall, and what should I get involved with, and what I need to do, and that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
So anyway, I think kind of summing it up, I think anybody who wants to get their head wrapped around marketing should read this book. I really do. There's also another group out there we're talking about Kodi's book, called Drift. I don't know if you've heard about the guys from Drift. DC and DG, they do a podcast called Seeking Wisdom. And what Drift talks about is conversational marketing. So it's very much relationship cut marketing. So they think they call it conversational, but it comes back to the same thing. I mean, and they're doing really well. They've taken their marketing agency and they've gone from 90 people a year ago. And I think I was listening to a year-end podcast, says they're up to like 250 or something. So I think we're starting to have, people are starting to realize that relationships are more and more, they require work. We know that. I mean, even if it's, funny, the quick 5-minute Facebook chats you and I have in between doing a million other things, we're all busy, but you got to work at it. And that's what people don't understand, is you got to work harder and harder at relationships today than you did 10 years ago too, because, cell phones get in the way, computers get in the way, family demands get in the way, right? And I think a lot of it too is having family behind you that support what you're doing as well. I think that's really important. If your family's not aligned with your goals as an entrepreneur, human connection or not, you're not going to get anywhere, right? So
absolutely.
So anyway, Matt, happy holidays. Thank you very much. And
thank you so much for this opportunity, and certainly I'm glad you enjoyed the book. And thanks so much. Have a really great new year that's coming up. Make it an epic year next year, and all the best to you.
Thank you.